My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, their songwriting techniques, and occasionally getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. Welcome to episode 174. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is renforshort. The Canadian alt pop star has just released her brilliant debut album entitled Dear Amelia. In today's episode, we're speaking with renforshort about the Letters to Amelia project, working with Bugg, and Ren shows us her best Australian accent. Here we go. Our guest today is one of the most exciting alt pop stars coming up in 2022. Blending genres like pop punk and hyperpop, and working with artists like Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park and Travis Barker, have guaranteed that she's definitely one worth keeping an eye on. Last Friday, she released her debut record entitled Dear Amelia. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, renforshort. Hello, how are we?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for your time today. It is a very exciting time. As just mentioned before we started recording, your debut album is out as of right now, which is super exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
How does it feel? It is the debut. It's a big deal, and so not to put any pressure, but yeah, what is going on in your mind right now?
Yeah, well, I'm obviously very nervous. That's just me as a person. I'm very anxious and very nervous, but I'm also very excited. It's been a long time coming, and at the end of the day, this is exactly what I want to do and where I want to be. So I feel very lucky to have been able to put out my album, and I'm very happy. And here we are.
The album that we are referring to is Dear Amelia. It is a gorgeous album. We were lucky enough to have a bit of a sneak preview earlier in the week. And it is, I guess sonically to begin with, it's this beautiful kind of mix of, I'd say, there's pop, there's elements of rock, there's elements of, bits and pieces along the way. For you, how long have some of these songs been in the works and you've had kind of them bubbling in the background?
So conceptually, there are songs on there that I've wanted to write for years. I just hadn't been able to get them right. The album took 8 months to write. I needed a deadline because otherwise I would have never stopped. So yeah, I mean, some of it already was bubbling in my brain, and it was this needs to come out. This needs to be written. This is good for the concept. This is what works. And I feel like some of, I got some of those, which is awesome. And yeah.
That's very, very cool. I think my favorite track from the record, I know it is one of the singles, and I know that might be a cliche move, but I think that Mosh Pit is just such a solid song. I was wondering if you could just give us a little bit more insight into, I guess, how that song was written and how it came about and what inspired it.
Yeah. So I was in a session with Jeff Hazen, who I do basically all my music with, and Alexander 23, who is an amazing artist. And we were kind of just, took us a while to come up with a concept in that session. I think we were all just having fun. So I was like, wouldn't it be funny if we wrote a song? Because at this time, sorry, I don't know why that just happened. But at the time, my now ex was living with me, and he was driving me crazy. He would leave messes all the time. I'm not a clean person, but I didn't like coming home to like messes, and like I wasn't happy. So I wrote. I said to Alexander and Jeff, I was like, how funny would it be if we use mosh pit as an analogy for this relationship? Because I am like terrified of mosh pit. So Alex was like, oh, that's sick. And I was like, oh, I was kind of joking, but like, let's try it out. And so they played, they figured out the progression and we just wrote it. And at first it was like kind of like a Jack Johnson vibe. It was very like just acoustic and like bright. So it took us a long time to get to the final mosh pit that's out in the world today. We had a running joke that the mosh pit we put out is reference 10,000. Jeff would label them as like reference 10,001 and reference 10,002 because it literally took so long to get it right. Yeah.
I can't picture that song as like a Jack Johnson-esque track, but I would be, if at any point there's like a renforshort B-sides, demos, whatever compilation, I look forward to hearing that version on there.
Oh, it'll be there.
The album also has a few lovely guest stars on there. Travis Barker and Jake Bugg both make an appearance. How did those collaborations kind of come about?
So with Travis, I was doing a few sessions with him. I've done a few sessions in the past, and I brought Jeff, another name drop, Jeff, into the session. And my friend Alden, who's like an incredible artist, started the idea for this song, We'll Make This Okay. And I was like, I love this. Like, can I have it? And he was like, of course. It was super hyper poppy, and it's not how I write. So I just like rewrote basically the whole thing. And we changed the production a bit, but it was still very hyper poppy. So in that session, Jeff was like, hey, Travis, do you mind playing some live drums on it to bring it into like Lauren's space? And he was like, of course. So he did it, and he did obviously an amazing job with Travis Barker. And that's how that came about. The Jake Bugg story is awesome. So he's one of my favorite artists of all time. Like, he was that formative artist for me when I was like 14. I found him, and now he's just like so nostalgic for me. And I wrote the song Let You Down, and wrote the first verse, and I wrote the chorus, and I wrote the bridge. And everyone was like, hey, second verse time. I was like, no second verse. Jeff was like, yeah, no second verse. And they were like, why? You need a second verse. If you're handing in a song, you need a second verse. So it's like, no, Jake Bugg's going to be on it. And they were like, okay, let's just write a second verse. And I was like, no. Trust me, Jake Bugg's going to be on the song. And Jeff was like, yeah, he's going to be on the song. We had no like way of, contacting him or making that actually happen. And I told my manager, he's like, where's the second verse? I was like, it's for Jake Bugg, or it's not coming out. And months go by, and I get a text from my manager, and he's like, here's an update of Let You Down. And I was like, so weird. Like, what was there to update? I didn't have any notes. And I played it in the cars with my dad, who was driving, thank God, because it would have been really bad. And I started bawling my eyes out when he came in. I was bawling. I was like, my whole body like went numb. I was like, wow, okay, so that just happened. And I cannot listen to that song without having the biggest smile on my face, because it literally, like, that's one of those moments where such a full circle moment where, like 14-year-old Lauren, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old Lauren would be like, wow, that's crazy. That's not real life.
That's actually awesome. That story just gave me a little bit of, oh my God, what is it called? Tingles? The hairs on the back of my neck? Yeah.
Every time I'm like, story. Yeah.
I did hear that you were quite a big fan of Jake Bugg, that you do have a love for British musicians, the Smiths, I think, Bowie. I also did hear, and I'm so sorry to do this too, and you can tell me to get lost if you'd like. I heard that you do a British accent that somehow sounds Australian.
Did you know 1 in 2 women wear the wrong foundation? Matching foundation is hard, but Il Makiage makes it easy. Take the Power Match quiz to find a better match in seconds, customized for your unique skin tone, undertone, and coverage needs. With 600,000 5-star reviews, this best-selling foundation is going viral for a reason. Available in 50 shades of weightless natural coverage. And with Try Before You Buy, you can try your full size at home for 14 days. Just pay shipping. Take the quiz at ilmakiage.com/quiz. That's ILMAKIAGE.com/quiz.
This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
Okay, so here's the thing. Every time I try to do a British accent, it sounds Australian. I don't know. Oh.
No, you go. Do I dare ask for an example?
I hear it. I need to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going down to Bondi. Okay. I start with Bondi. And I say, I want to throw a shrimp on the barbie. And then I say, pack it in the car pack. Wait, that was Boston.
There was an
car pack. I'm going down to Bondi. Okay, wait. Going down to Bondi. Me and my mates, we just threw our tongs on, threw some shrimps on the barbie, and we're going down to Bondi to just, kind of hang about. What do Australian people say?
I think that's pretty solid.
That was really bad. It used to be really good.
The Bondi, the shrimp, even the car, I think were fantastic. I will agree with you. When you got to car park, there was a little bit of a Boston.
Car park.
Car park.
Yeah. I think I really overdo it too. I'm like, it's really overdone because listening to you speak, I'm like, you have a lovely, very relaxing voice and act. I'm like, let's go dance Bondi.
When I need to, I can pull out the ochre in the Australian accent, but I won't today for you. I won't, Ren. I wanted to touch on a little bit. I know that the album as well kind of throughout has a theme of mental health and kind of addressing certain aspects like that. For you, how important was it that these songs kind of carried some of, some of that subject matter and was able to address it without explicitly, saying this, and this?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's just important to be honest. That's the only way I can write is being honest. If I haven't experienced something, I'm not going to write it because what do I know about that? What can I say? It was really important for me. I always say what did I miss when I was younger that would have helped me? I can kind of, with my platform, I can kind of give to people what I would have loved to have. And I know other people would, like to feel heard and I think that that's what music can do. That's the power of music. It can, make people feel heard. Even if they feel like they're completely alone, no one's completely alone, it's, we're all here for you, so.
It is a kind of beautiful touchstone throughout the record, and I do very much appreciate, or I think that the initiative that you've done as well. And for anyone who's not aware of it, I'll put it in the show notes to this podcast. The letters to Amelia, where on your website you've created basically a template for people to print out and write their thoughts, whatever it may be, and send off. I believe that they are destroyed anonymously, so it's not. They're not being read or stored anywhere, but just for people to be able to get these things off their chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, there's like writing in a diary is one thing because you can always revisit the diary and then you're brought back to like that moment. Whereas, you know, if you write a letter, ship it off in the mail to nowhere land, then you're never going to hear about it again, you know? And, you know, you can't just like ship whatever letter off to whatever address. Someone's going to get it, you know? Yeah. So I just put a P.O. box in place, or I got a P.O. box, however you do that, rent it. I don't know how it works, but and I was like, guys, write your letters. Like it's so cathartic. It's hilarious. It's the best feeling ever. I do it all the time. And it's just like such a great release. And it's such a good warm-up exercise to be able to like have conversations and like kind of just open a dialogue about like how you're actually feeling and about mental health and all that fun stuff. Very fun. So
again, it is a wonderful initiative, and I do commend you on that because I think it is brilliant and it is something that more and more artists are addressing in 2022. So yes, you should be commended on that.
Thank you.
We are very excited that you are coming down to Australia later this month in a matter of weeks, actually. What are you most looking forward to and what can we expect from some of these shows?
I'm so excited to just go to Australia. I've only been for like 2 days. I don't think I didn't ever properly experience Australia. And there's people there that I've never met, like fans. I haven't been since I've like actually been an artist, you know, like I went for like a Interscope showcase when I was like, had 2 songs out. So like, I wasn't, you know, I was like, I haven't properly been to Australia. So I'm so excited. And I think that like, I hear that like Australian crowds are very fun and I think it will just be a really good time. And I'm going to play the album for the first time in Australia. So that will also be very fun. And yeah, it's just going to be a lot of great energy and good vibes.
I can only expect that. I've already kind of heard from a number of people who are very excited about seeing you in, I believe you're playing in Melbourne and Sydney and also at Splendor in the Grass. So for everyone who is listening, we'll make sure that those details are in the show notes so they can catch you. Lastly, Ren, we would usually ask our guests what they're currently listening to other than your brand new debut record, which is out right now. What are you currently listening to at the moment?
Funny enough, I realized this the other day. I find it hard to like listen to music, or at least like modern music, because I find that I just think too much about like what went into making the music. So recently I've been listening to a lot of like classic rock, which I always kind of am. So like The Kinks, one of my favorites ever. I always listen to Bon Iver. That's not classic rock, but like it's always in the background. Bon Iver and Jake Bugg are just always there. Obviously the Strokes. So I'm kind of like going back on what I said, but Beatles, you know, some Carole King, some Albert Hammond, not junior, senior.
The original.
Oh, yeah, the OG. But yeah, just everything. I always have just like a 60s, 70s mix that Spotify makes for me that I just chuck on and yeah.
That sounds like a wonderful mix of music. Ren, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being on the podcast and congratulations again on Dear Amelia, the debut record, which is out right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to renforshort for her time. Dear Amelia is out now, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to buy the record or catch her on her Australian tour. We also want to give a huge shout out to Samantha at Universal Music Australia for helping out with today's interview. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Wednesday and Friday morning, and we now have a Patreon, which you can find within the show notes of this episode. You can follow the player's profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.